It's being live streamed.
Yeah,
I've never done this before.
Yeah. Here we go.
I don't know.
Don't mind my dog snoring in the back. She's a loud snorer. Yuri. Is your puppy like that too? Like you never leave your side?
I don't know.
Don't mind my dog snoring in the back. Loud snorer. Yuri.
Okay.
Is your puppy like that too? Like you never leave your side?
Okay.
I don't know. Don't mind my dog snoring in the house. Yuri. Is your puppy like that too? Like you never leave your side? Can you hear that?
Okay, wait. Where are we? Sorry.
No, you're good.
We were looping somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea if we're live, but we're gonna just go for it. And I will record this on here. So
Okay.
at least we know we met.
Yeah.
Aloha. Ui. This is, guys, I'm so excited to have this Ui with Ui Lani. How do you say your last name?
Tevanga. So the G is like an NG somewhere. I know, it looks like Tevega, like some kind of Latin name, but it's Tevanga.
I just want to make sure. I have some Samoan friends that have similar spelling, names. But I just want to make sure.
It's the deep part of the name, sis.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me just check one more time that. Okay, there we go. So this is the first time. I think we're streaming on YouTube and
whoa. We're like girls. Okay.
Yeah. And even Facebook. And yeah, so we'll be here for about half an hour. We'll see. And
I'm in my sports bra.
And you're in your sports bra because she just was working out because she makes it a priority.
And she was gonna come on the health Hui show, so she gotta be healthy.
Yeah, gotta be healthy. Gotta be healthy. I'm drinking water with lemon. We're healthy. But healthy comes in all different forms, and that is something that I'm so excited to hear from you about. Kind of like your new journey and what you really are serving right now in the community. But let's start from the little bit rewind where Ui and I first met at a, basically, what would you call it? It was called a network marketing boot camp retreat.
Boot camp.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, which sounds so scary right now. But that's kind of where we started in both of our entrepreneurships. Tell me a little bit about from then to just a little bit of a journey. I know it could go forever, but just maybe like what you learned then and maybe what you were doing and then what's brought you to more present moment.
Yeah, so I just want to start off by sharing because it's funny. I had this old papa, this cute little Maori man at my gym on my way out. He goes, "Oh, honey," he's like, "Hi, you uncle." He's like, "So what you do?" I come in at 12. I come in at 10. It's all Kupuna's working out, by the way. I said, "Oh, what you do?" And I go, "It's a funny question because I'm gonna talk about that today." I said, "Oh, all kind." He's like, "Oh yeah, like what?"
Yeah.
And I thought about that, but for those of you that are multi-passionate or like what I call multi-potentialite, and you can do many, many things, sometimes there's a little hesitation in that. But when you love life, we should embrace that part of ourselves. I have moved from my entrepreneurship, started as a professional entertainer, and then I went into hair and makeup for about 8 years. I went into financial coaching, and from that, I went into network marketing where we met. And then even though that is a stream of income that thankfully is still in our household, it's not something I actively focus on because I am now on a path of feminine embodiment work. And I didn't know what that was actually like, if I was going to give it a title, but it just has to do with like resensitizing the body. And so much of our life we're working from the head up, and we're just in our heads. But I teach like a sensual movement practice. I certify women to do the same. And then I'm on a holistic sexuality journey, which is like a tantric path to sex, love, and relationships. So that's been the journey now. And all along the way, as I look like, what's the interweavings of all of this? You know, I feel like we have our visions and we share them out loud on social media, whatever, like this is like what's in resonance now. But I think you and I are very similar, and like we're visionaries and we go where life is leading us. So I'm going to say good job on that. You know, that we don't have to stay. I feel like our dreams are directional. They're always going to lead us to the next part of our growth, right? Like, and sometimes we give, well, this is what I've learned for myself. I've given way too much credit to the entity than to myself and to my soul of like, no, I created that success, not that specific company or that product or the thing, but like your heart space. And that's, you know, what's brought you to that point. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Right. Well, and I'm sure the path is also always unfolding. And I think with that mindset, well, first of all, thank you for, I feel like also something that you do that I see. Well, also, I mean, she's a mother of 5, right? Her husband is a professional musician. She's an amazing podcast. She has so many. She's a hula teacher background.
And I'm gonna start working at the airlines, just letting you know. So it's not full entrepreneurship, but I love it. I'm so excited. I told her just before we got on this, I was like, I have a job now.
Oh, and that to me, that's one, this permission to go where your heart leads. And that is something that I don't think many people actually talk about. And I think that it's not talked about because it's a little bit scary. It's scary because it's the unpredictable, and it's trusting that life is always leading you to the next best step, right? That whatever you've done in the past is all not for nothing, but it's to expound upon whatever is coming next. And I think that is a beautiful invitation to everyone, even for myself, to step into, because it can be very almost like you judge yourself, right? When you're like, oh, but I really like this and I really like that, and I want to make that all part of my livelihood. And I mean, society is not really set up to support that.
No.
And you also came from a very strict and rigid background that led you into this female embodiment work. And I want to hear a little bit about like going through that, because I'm sure that wasn't a comfortable process.
No. Yeah. So I want to say like probably 4.5 years ago, I got invited to my first sound healing, and I had no idea what that was. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. But I think before I had stepped into that, I was finding myself in my morning, you know, time alone, being like, okay, like I know the rules on how to get to heaven or whatever, like how it was kind of drilled in, very strict religious. Good girl, I call it all the time. But I was like, I really want to have a relationship. I want to have a better relationship with God, not so much regulations, because like I got those down, I followed them, but I'm still feeling a little like missing something. And then I went to this sound healing, and I had this massive awakening. Like I saw myself in a cell moving through different lifetimes, and I was like, just happened. And so the path of me actually looking for God took me in a whole different direction of actually finding my own self, like finding what I call the goddess within, and reconnecting ancestrally, reconnecting in a spiritual, in a more cultural way. There's just so much that kind of unfolded. And when you come out of a high demand religion that controls everything from like that was my dog, what you wear, like you'd never be on a live stream, whatever, inner sports bra. Like you have to have a covered neckline, covered shoulders, covered knees. The way you raise your children, I feel like I was raised so much in a fear-based way. And so and it shows, right, in every area of your life, like how you try to move forward, and yet fear will constantly push you back. Like you've been so disconnected from your own body. And what I was sharing with this journey of female embodiment was the first place that we got disconnected as a society, as a culture, and just as, you know, women, is from our innate sexuality, right? Like just think about that. When the missionaries came to Hawaii, was the first thing they did? They covered up the women, right? Like that's our direct portal to the divine. Like that's all of our picos, right? And yet we're like, oh, but our mana and our mana. I'm like, yo, like this is the mana.
Yeah.
This is the one first. And this is where I've learned to like consult and like learn to work from. But we don't just go from having that knowing, like, oh, that sounds good, let me get to that. But because there's so much trauma and layers of conditioning, the work that I've become so passionate about is like slowly disarmoring the body, slowly like untangling. And it's like a process, like it's like a lifetime to get where we are as a society, where we really can't feel most of the time. Like, yes, we can have like women who have a lot of heart, but they don't have that sexual desire. But your sexual desire is like your most potent healing tool. Like if people are like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now in this life? But
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, and then because like once you like, can I swear on this, by the way?
Oh yeah. You're fine.
Okay. So like once you know, like, and you like fucking know it, and nobody can tell you different.
Right.
And somehow like, and then through these energy centers, your voice is unlocked, your truth is unlocked. And like, I don't care who I lose, whatever, because I am so sovereign in my body, in my own vessel, and I'm so connected to the divinity. And so like all of the external reachings, right? Like maybe we do in entrepreneurship, or we do in relationships, or we're like trying to be seen and validated and blah, blah, blah. Like it is literally that simple of like, it is already inside. It's not in here. Like it's in the whole part of ourselves. And so, yeah, I don't even know if that made sense, but.
No, and I love this because I feel like, even for anyone listening, like I came into this very raw. Yes, Ui's my friend. We haven't caught up. We live different islands. And even for me, a lot of the terminology, I don't really understand. It's almost like I have a disassociation with what you're saying. And not because it's new, but because it's a disassociation I have even within my own body. And I know that. And so that's why it's, I want to lean in and I want to hear more, because it's something that, I think can bring very deep healing, because it is a taboo. And why is it the taboo? What's gotten us to this place beyond religion? Because I actually grew up, my mom was like you. She grew up very, well, not same religion, but very Catholic. And so because of that, she was like, oh, I am absolutely turned against that because of the fear-based, the stress that it caused her. And she had a lot of trauma as a child that she just didn't believe that was a safe space, that religion.
Then that's huge too. So I speak from a place of like, this is my own lived experiences, but obviously with the women that I work with and that come into my circle, is like that word trauma is so nuanced, and we live in a trauma-filled society. Like you don't necessarily had to have had like a single event happen to you, like an acute kind of trauma, this complex world that we live in. One thing I learned in like trauma healing is, let's say we're a little girl and we're sitting in class and somebody said something really like uncomfortable or that scared the hell out of you. It's so interesting because the body will like tighten up. And the first place that it will get lodged into is our sexual organs.
Wow.
Like we'll hold that in our yoni space. Like we'll hold that, And so as we go throughout life, when we feel like, how come I can't surrender to my partner? I can't surrender to myself. Why can I, like even for women, trauma of like, it's just a society, right? Oh my gosh, she goes out with these guys. She's a slut, right? Like we slut shame people. And that growing up in a sex positive environment where like, maybe she's just leaning into her self-expression. Maybe we've forgotten that this idea of loving people wasn't meant to be only a man and a wife. Maybe it wasn't meant to just be one-on-one. Maybe we remember that indigenous practices, we had many partners. Maybe we, like, and what is really like this? What was true for us then, is it still true for us now? And embodiment work says like, there is no good, bad, right, wrong. Obviously there are some extremes and whatever, but like learning into the body wisdom, we are our greatest healers. And this resensitizing of like, when we say you're disconnected, but like Noelle, when you gotta use bathroom, you go. When you're hungry, you eat. So like you are very connected, but the one place that we don't connect is our sexual nature, because it seems like we don't have time, like it's a whole thing. And yet sensuality will lead us into sexuality, because we can go, I'm going to smell things more. I'm going to make my room a little nicer. Like I'm going to resensitize, and I'm going to work with the felt sense. So you talk a lot about following our na'au and our intuition. Same thing. Now we just start to sit with our eyes closed and lean into like, where am I feeling that in my body? Can I start to place, movement to those structures? Can I begin to hold these sensations and not go, I don't have time for them, that's too heavy for me, that will look funny, right? Like I teach women to like sound what they're feeling, and there's a lot of resistance, right? But that just has to go with all the conditioning of like, here's how we act and how we sound and what is acceptable in society. And embodiment work is like, fuck that. I want to live and I want to experience the full meaning of being alive.
Yeah. Totally. Well, and I think that people are craving that, because when everything is so ethereal and it's like, just again, you had said like from your neck down, like trying to resensitize that whole area, right? And that made sense to me, because again, yeah, so much is housed in our head, and that this is like the one, right? We don't really talk about anything else, but embodiment, it's everything. You do something embodied one time, you don't even need to think about it again. It's like part of you, whether that's releasing trauma, whether that's learning something new. When it's embodied, it's like that, right? It's almost
right. And you've had home birth babies, sis. Like, I don't know what's more embodied than like trusting the wisdom of your portal. Like, oh, I know when the baby's coming. You're like, I know how I want to sound, or like, and you're in that moment. But it's like, why is that only for birth, right? So cool. Like we get in that birth movement. Let's go back to how we even got there in the first place. Like, yeah, I mean, surrendering to like, wow, when that broke your heart open, right? Like, holy shit, like, look what I did. Like, look how powerful I am. The work that we do is like, guess what? I can be like that every day if I want to.
Right.
I can open to my own like, holy shit moments all the time.
Well, and what does that mean? Like, I'm so curious. I have 4 boys, right? Like, what does that mean in raising little boys? What does that mean for men? Like, how does that mean?
Yeah, so I feel like that always will begin with ourselves. And raising my children in the church environment just as my own journey, I was very like, don't touch your body.
Yeah.
Don't, look or don't dress and da. And now I'm like, with my own child, raising like a sex positive family. And everyone is different. So I'm never going to tell moms how to teach their kids about these topics. But before I can allow my children like to go and please somebody, I want them to know what feels good to me. Like, how can I learn to actually, and I teach my older daughter, I'm like, when you go in the shower, look at your body. Don't just shower your body. Yeah. Like, look at your hands. Be so like, oh my goodness, like as if this is the first, meeting yourself with curiosity, right? Like before I'm like, oh, I hope somebody loves you and I hope somebody takes care of you, like obviously. Right. But she will have so much more of an appreciation for that love and that care because she knows that she's generated that for herself first. And same thing with my boys. Boys, there's balls and like all of that kind of stuff.
Things from birth anyways, dude.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want you to feel what you do. And I want you to be very clean in that, and
Yes.
respecting your body and respecting women. And like, we are so conditioned by society, and like why this work is important as a mother is I go, it's either you learn it from church, which is totally taboo, or you learn it from freaking TikTok and fucking porn. And that's not even real. And that desensitizes our society in a whole nother way too, where we're so disembodied because we're thinking like, this vibration, and like, don't get me wrong. Oh my God. I'm so going here. Like vibrators are great. Okay. Holistic health. Vibrators are great. Like they're great. It's fast, like boom, boom, boom. Let's get this done and like off the day. Yeah, it's got my jolt. However, if we continuously use them, we are also conditioning our bodies to need that, like stimulants, right? Yeah. When in fact, we're worthy of the time. We're worthy of the breath. My husband doesn't have a vibrator in his hand, but if I'm only like waiting for that sensation, I'm not able to like fully receive him, so this is like a whole other thing of like learning what pleasure is like, and non-sexual pleasure first and foremost, to then experience the aliveness of sexuality. And for everyone's like, oh, it's not important. I'm like, it is our life force energy. And I had the cutest kupuna, because I know this is the hui, so all the titas. I was sharing, I was speaking at a women's conference, and this like, she must have been in her late 70s. She came up to me after, she goes, oh, so happy you talk about this. I was like, oh yeah? And she's like, after I lost my husband, she's like, I thought I was going to die, but when I learned how to take care of myself, and then she leaned and she goes, like, take care of myself. She's like, I'm going to live forever. I was like, that's right. And then she had tears in her eyes, and I was like, yeah, like we just forget like the vitality and the joy and like even the sadness, like even like welcoming pain. Like you can have sad orgasms, even like you can be turned on by so much, and that just creating like loving safety in your body as a baseline helps in your business and your interactions. Because why? It's all relationships, right? Like success, love, abundance, it all begins here first.
Connection. Oh my God, that's so good. I can't wait to try one of your goddess yoga classes. No joke. I feel like I need this. And yeah, we'll talk about my stuff later, one other time. But thank you so much, Ui, like for sharing just your journey and what you've gone through, because I think it's so rich. And, again, like maybe for some people it's like uncomfortable, right? For whatever reason. And I think that there has to be a starting point to reclamation of this work. And I think that you're brave enough to do it. And so mahalo to you, because it's not easy. It's not like you wake up and you're like, oh, this is what I want to do. It takes courage to put yourself out there, knowing people will judge. And that's why I like completely commend you, because I'm sure the work is fulfilling, but I know it's not easy.
I appreciate you, sis. And yeah, and I like feel like we can talk story all day about it. But like, but the part two is then the application. This only works when you apply the feeling, like the movement part of it. So I cannot wait to move with you, my sis. You're amazing. And thanks for all that you do for Lahui and for Wahine. You're so incredible.
We love it. But tell us how we can connect with you or learn more from you.
Yeah. So I feel like I was coaching for so long, and this past year when I decided to really devote myself, I didn't want to give myself a timeline of like when I'm going to open up coaching. So currently the only thing that I have is to also want to create your own goddess circles. So I just finished up my second certification, and I will have another one in August. But other than that, I'm going to just be doing like gentle business sessions, how to kind of rewire how we go about entrepreneurship, and just healing some of those wounds that comes from high achievers. The women that I specifically work with are leaders.
Yeah.
So they're already holding a lot of people. They've already achieved these things. Not that I don't love baby entrepreneurs, you know. So yeah, those are kind of by people messaging me through my podcast and whatnot. And if you're ready for some like juicy emails, I just started an email called Submerged. And it's a little bit like more on the erotic side. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, moms, like after a long day, I just see it being something like they're laying at bed instead of scrolling the gram. They're like, okay, what am I going to try out tonight? So I thought it would just be fun, and it'll be like once a month, some, you know, juicy, yeah, playful.
And we can sign up for that via your Instagram. Is that the best place?
It's on my Instagram, yeah, my podcast, and then that Submerged email will be there. And then, yeah, hopefully we can have a class together. And I usually just post my goddess classes or workshops that I do outer islands on my stories.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this and connecting. And yeah, I'm so excited to see what's next for you.
And same for you, sis. I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap up. I know you have to go, and I will be in touch.
Okay. Love you, sis.
Yeah. Yeah. Love you.
Just message me when everything's